On the night Emily vanished, a monstrous storm clawed at the heart of Havenwood. Rain hammered the windows, thunder splitting the darkness like a scream. The wind shrieked through the oaks, branches clawing at rooftops as if desperate to get in. On the news, a grave anchor's voice trembled. 17-year-old Emily Carter has been reported missing. Her school photo flickered on the screen, smiling, innocent, now a ghostly reminder of what was lost. Emily was last seen at home, hunched over her books, the storm closing in outside. Her parents returned to find the door unlocked. Inside, only a chilling, unnatural silence greeted them. The house felt wrong, cold, disturbed, a void where their daughter should have been. Havenwood held its breath. Every gust of wind whispered secrets. Every shadow seemed to move. Police sirens wailed through the storm, slicing the night, confirming the nightmare was real. Neighbors peered from behind trembling curtains, their homes suddenly fragile, their safety an illusion. Emily Carter was gone, swallowed by the storm and by the suffocating silence it left behind. Just before she vanished, Emily's final act was to send a chilling, cryptic text to her best friend, Maya. "It's in here." The words glowed on the screen, their meaning shrouded in darkness, heavy with a terror that could not be spoken aloud. There was no warning, no explanation, only a suffocating dread that crept into Maya's chest, cold and paralyzing, as if something unseen was watching her too. With trembling hands, Maya dialed Emily's number, her heart racing, desperate for a voice, any sign of hope. But the only answer was the hollow, endless silence of voicemail. Outside, a violent storm clawed at the night, thunder rattling the windows. The chaos outside mirrored the terror building inside Maya's mind. When the police arrived, the text was more than a clue. It was a warning, a single thread in a web of fear, and perhaps the only hope they had. Detective Miller stared at the message, reading it again and again. "It's in here." Each time the words seemed to twist, as if hiding a secret in plain sight, daring him to uncover the horror lurking beneath. The message was a whisper from the darkness, proof that Emily was not alone. Something, or someone, had invaded her sanctuary, turning her home into a nightmare. This was not the message of someone escaping. It was a desperate cry, a final plea for help, sent in the last moments before the unknown closed in. For Emily's parents, the text was a nightmare made real, a single message that shattered their world and left only fear in its wake. They replayed every memory, every word. Had she been afraid? Had she seen something lurking in the shadows? But Emily had seemed so normal, smiling, laughing, hiding any trace of the darkness that was about to consume her. Now the message had poisoned their home, turning every shadow into a threat, every silence into a warning. It became a living nightmare, an unseen presence haunting every room, a faceless terror feeding on their fear. In 3 words, their world was shattered. The echo of Emily's terror would haunt them forever, a horror that refused to fade. The police stepped into Emily's bedroom, unaware they were crossing a threshold into something unspeakable. At first glance, everything seemed normal. Textbooks lay open, a cup of tea sat cooling, the laptop's glow flickered in the gloom. But then, disturbance. A lamp toppled, books scattered across the floor. The room whispered of a struggle. The window was shattered, shards of glass glinting on the carpet like tiny, silent screams. Yet outside there was no sign of forced entry. Nothing to explain the violence within. It was as if something had burst out from inside, something desperate or something monstrous. The cold wind howled through the broken glass, turning the room into a tomb of icy dread. Detective Miller searched for clues but found only rain-slicked wood, no fingerprints, no trace of who or what had been there. The absence of evidence became its own chilling message. The broken glass seemed to mock the investigators. A silent witness to a horror they couldn't fathom. Emily's favorite jumper hung limply over her chair. Her phone was gone, snatched away or taken with her. The room was a paradox. Ordinary life frozen in the grip of extraordinary terror. Something had come for Emily. It left behind only a broken window, a chilling silence, and questions that would haunt everyone who entered that room. The Carter security camera, installed for peace of mind, became their only witness to something no one could have expected. It was meant to keep them safe, to watch over their home while they slept, but on this night, it captured something that would haunt everyone who saw it. Detective Miller sat in the glow of the monitor watching the stormy footage, nothing but rain and wind for hours, the monotonous hum of the storm filling the silence. He almost gave up, thinking it was just another uneventful night. Then, at exactly 9:46 p.m., a sudden flicker at the edge of the frame caught his eye. It was so brief, he almost missed it. A movement that didn't belong. A shadow, tall, impossibly thin, seemed to detach itself from the old oak tree and glide silently toward Emily's window, moving with an unnatural grace that sent chills down Miller's spine. It had no features, no face, just a dark, elongated shape that seemed to absorb the light around it, making it even harder to comprehend. The officers in the room fell silent, their faces pale as the shadow melted into the wall and vanished without a trace, as if it had never been there at all. Moments later, as if on cue, Emily's bedroom light flickered violently and then went out, plunging her room into darkness. The timing was too perfect to be coincidence. Every detail lined up, making the incident even more unsettling. The shadow wasn't a trick of the light or a camera glitch. It was real, and it was heading straight for Emily, as if drawn to her. The footage offered no answers, only more terrifying questions, leaving everyone in the room with a sense of dread that lingered long after the tape stopped. What was this thing? It moved like a nightmare, defying explanation, as if it belonged to another world entirely. The police were trained to hunt people, not shadows. This was beyond anything they had ever encountered, and it left them feeling helpless. The investigation had crossed into the unbelievable, and for the first time the officers wondered if they were truly prepared for what they were facing. 2 days after Emily disappeared, her mother's phone buzzed, a voicemail, from Emily's number. For a heartbeat, hope flickered. Then, dread crept in. The message was 10 seconds of static, then, a guttural whisper, stretched and unnatural. "Emma, I lie!" The voice was not human, it was old, cold and hungry. Then, "Not yours anymore." The line went dead. Only Sarah's ragged breathing filled the silence. Police tried to analyze the recording, no background noise, no traceable source. The voice was warped, impossible to identify. It was a message from nowhere, a taunt from something monstrous, lurking in the void. The voicemail twisted the case, no longer just a disappearance, but something far more sinister. Hope withered, replaced by a chilling certainty. Emily was lost to something beyond human understanding. "Not yours anymore." The words cut like a knife, severing the bond between mother and child. The voice was a promise of a fate far worse than death. Maya, Emily's best friend, drifted through the hallways like a shadow, her eyes wide, haunted by a terror she couldn't name. Each step echoed in the silence as if something unseen was following close behind. She couldn't stop replaying Emily's final text. "It's in here." The words crawled under her skin, twisting into something sinister. What had Emily seen? What was lurking in the darkness? Desperation clawed at Maya as she helped the Carters search Emily's room. Every drawer, every shadow felt like it might hide a secret, something monstrous waiting to be found. Detective Miller's questions were soft, but Maya felt the weight of suspicion. Had Emily whispered of something strange? Had she seen something that should never be seen? Maya's mind flashed with nightmares, a tall, thin man lurking outside her window, his shadow stretching impossibly long across her wall. Was it just a dream, or a warning? She'd told herself it was only stress, but now, the memory chilled her to the bone. What if the nightmare was real? Each day, Maya's fear grew sharper, twisting into paranoia. Every creak, every whisper in the dark, felt like a threat closing in. Shadows flickered at the edge of her vision. Whispers slithered through the night. She felt eyes, cold, hungry, watching her from the darkness. The world twisted into something unfamiliar, dangerous. Whatever had taken Emily was still out there, waiting, lurking just beyond the light. Maya refused to be alone. She left every light burning, terrified of what the darkness might reveal if she let it in. For Maya, the real nightmare was just beginning. She could feel it, pressing in, suffocating as the storm gathered outside and something far worse gathered within. 1 week after Emily vanished, the quiet of Maya's neighborhood was shattered. Police arrived at her house under the cover of darkness. What seemed like a routine check quickly turned into something far more sinister. Neighbors watched from behind curtains as officers crept from room to room, their flashlights slicing through the shadows searching for any trace of the missing girl. In the dim light of Maya's bedroom, an officer slid open a drawer. There, nestled among forgotten trinkets, was a phone, Emily's phone. The sunflower sticker glared back, unmistakable, a silent witness to something unspeakable. The air thickened, heavy with dread. Why was Emily's phone here, in this room, when Emily herself was still lost to the darkness? Maya's hands shook as she stared at the phone, her voice barely a whisper. "I've never seen it before, I swear." But her wide, terrified eyes betrayed a deeper fear, one that chilled everyone in the room. Her denial echoed in the silence, but the evidence was undeniable. Emily's phone was here, in Maya's home, as if it had been waiting to be found. With trembling hands, police plugged the phone into a charger. The room held its breath as the screen flickered to life, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The last outgoing message, a desperate voicemail to Emily's mother, played out in the darkness, the pleading voice echoing through the room, sent from this very phone. Then, the chilling truth. The phone's location data revealed it had never left Maya's bedroom since the night Emily disappeared. It had been here, hidden in plain sight, all along. Every message, every voicemail, each one traced back to this room, to this phone, to Maya's home. The horror was closing in. Was Maya just another victim, ensnared by the same darkness that took Emily? Or was something far more sinister lurking beneath the surface, hiding in the shadows of her own home? The shadow, the voice, the terror, it all seemed to converge in this very room, as if evil itself had made a home here, feeding on fear. The real horror, the force that took Emily, was closer than anyone dared to believe. It was hiding in plain sight, waiting, watching, ready to claim its next victim. Sometimes the darkness isn't just in the shadows. Sometimes it's right beside you, silent, patient, and ready to strike again.